Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we're going to be tackling the question of what actually happens to enemies that get shot at the airlock in Halo 4 on the mission Composer. So, during this mission, well, actually first of all I do want to mention that this video is made possible thanks to a mod by Lord Zed that was released very recently that finally enables theater mode and campaign for Halo 4 on MCC. See, he was actually the one that figured out that theater mode works for campaign on the 360 version a long time ago, and now it finally works on MCC as well. So that's what makes this possible. But anyways, as you know, during this part of the mission on the Composer, there are these enemies that come out through airlocks, and if you don't hit the button outside quick enough, then they'll be able to enter. But if you do hit the buttons in time, then you actually vent the enemies back into space. But you see them get shot out, but you don't actually get to see what happens to them the rest of the way. And there's actually a few other things that we're going to tackle in this video as well, besides what happens to them, exactly how the airlock works as well, whether it's an animation or something that that's scripted or everything, or if it's actually an airlock. So first of all, I'll show you guys what happens once the enemies get shot out of space. So this is what the outside of the station looks like. It's mostly just a skybox out here, but yeah, so here we go. I've already vented the enemies here. I'm just gonna play in slow motion so you can see them get shot out. They're already in their animation here, and there's actually a catwalk out here, or some kind of platform here that you normally can't see unless it's lit up by the Jackal's shield here. But just a little interesting thing there. But yeah, so enemies will continue to get shot out past the edge of the platform, and once they get shot out, there's not really anything out here, but they will reach a certain point, and it's the same for every single enemy. It's always consistent, but they will reach a certain point where they will just they'll just drop dead. I'm not sure if that's a death barrier that they're hitting, or if they're just scripted to die after a couple of seconds or something like that. But either way, once they reach around this area, they will all die consistently at the same time. So yeah, that's basically what happens to them once they get shot out. They actually go for quite a distance, and then they just die and then just drop. They just drop down, which actually doesn't make sense because they're in space, so they don't just fall straight down at terminal velocity. They're supposed to just keep flying out into space, but instead their animation is scripted to show them flying out. But then once they're out of view of the player, then they just suddenly drop dead, and then they just drop down literally. And yeah, all of a sudden there's gravity in space outside the station. So that's one little I guess inaccurate thing, but it's not really meant for players to be able to see what happens after this point. So it's kind of a off-camera, behind-the-scenes kind of thing. So that's what happens to enemies. Now I wanted to also test it to see if this airlock is actually real, or if it's just enemies scripted to go into an animation and then make themselves float out. So I wanted to try using non enemies that aren't scripted to appear there. So I spawned a couple just random bipeds, but unfortunately the airlocks, if there's anything living inside the airlock, including myself, the door will never close. So I couldn't just vent these spawned bipeds out. So instead I had to try other objects. And this time around I spawned a couple of crates, or these barrels or whatever, and I was gonna see if those could be vented out, or if it's just literally the enemies that spawn in and then enter the airlock. So I waited till the enemies came in so I could see everything, shoot everything onto space at the same time. And as you can see here, the barrels actually do get sucked out, but it seems like whatever sucks enemies out of the airlock, they're not getting sucked out because it's space outside. There's actually some kind of something some kind of object, invisible object, that actually kind of blows enemies out. And if something is too far to the side, like that barrel you saw a few seconds ago, then it won't get sucked out. It will actually not be caught within the path of the wind tunnel or whatever. But if everything's within the path, then yeah, then it'll be fine. It actually won't get affected. I mean, it will get affected, it'll get sucked out. But too far to the side, then it won't, it'll miss it. So the next thing I wanted to try was just for the heck of it, I wanted to try other enemies, or other characters I should say, and see what happens if I vent them out into space. And as you can see, I did a few Marines and scientists, and well, they don't have the they don't support the animations that the enemies have when, you know, when they're getting sucked out. So instead of like, you know, like flipping in the air or just, you know, going crazy, they do still get sucked out, but they kind of just like slide out, and they don't have like any reaction really, or any pose. So that's it does still show that the wind tunnel in here is kind of legit. It's more like a giant fan that's blowing them out rather than space sucking them out. But at least it's not just some scripted like animation that, you know, the grunts and jackals have. It literally is like something that's, you know, pushing them out. And well, you know, with other characters it can get really glitchy. Like you saw, like some characters there, instead of getting sucked out, they got pushed forward briefly and then sucked out right after. But yeah, so it, you know, it works with pretty much anything, and even like non-living objects will also get sucked out if they're like in the right area. But yeah, so there you guys have it. That is what actually happens to enemies, or rather pretty much anything that's in the airlock. They will all actually get shot out, and they'll fly out to a certain distance where you can't see it anymore, and then they'll just drop dead and then drop down. So yeah, there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys did find this video to be interesting, and if you did enjoy it, then as always, make sure to leave a like. Leave your thoughts in the comments if there's anything else for me to check out or look into, any questions you have, any suggestions, stuff I'm going to investigate. Just let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do my best to look into it when I get a chance. But other than that, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!